We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Glory UGA podcast, where we have some breaking news to discuss here tonight as the Georgia Bulldogs have struck it big in the transfer portal here late Sunday night. So we've got a lot to dive into. But first, if you're a diehard Georgia fan, you're going to want to go ahead and subscribe to this channel right now if you haven't already, because we have a ton of content designed for all you guys, all you diehard Georgia fans. You don't want to miss any of that. So subscribe, like, comment, and check out full episodes of our podcast wherever you get your pods for a lot more Georgia football content, Georgia football, baseball, basketball, whatever. We cover all the Georgia sports out there for you. But all right, guys, let's dive into this, man. Huge night. Let's just start here and say this right now. The Georgia Bulldogs got better tonight. I did an episode last week, which if you haven't checked out, you can go check that out after you check this episode out. But I did an episode outlining what I perceived as Georgia's biggest needs in the transfer portal heading into this spring window. I identified Jack linebacker, 5-tech defensive end, running back, and also to a lesser degree, but just for depth purposes, just in case purposes, quarterback, right? Those are the four positions that I identified above all others as positions that Georgia should take a long, hard look to find the right kind of guy in this spring transfer portal window. Those are my priorities. Well, lo and behold, it looks like Kirby Smart Company had a lot of the same priorities, because we just landed an outside linebacker, we just landed a running back, and a guy that can play interior defensive line like the 3-tech, but they can also situationally slide outside and play the 5-tech as well. So let's dive into it, guys. We're going to start with the guy I'm most excited about in terms of these three guys that we landed tonight out of the transfer portal. Elo Mosozi from Army. And I know, Army, like Georgia's taking guys from Army. Guys, don't look at it that way. Go watch this guy's tape. Those of you who've been listening to this podcast for a long time, you know me, but I know we're getting new listeners, we're getting new people on YouTube every single episode. So if you are new to our podcast, you're new to our show here, one thing to know about me is I'm what you would call a college football junkie. Yes, I am a diehard Georgia fan. Like, that's who I am. That's what I bleed. I bleed the red and black guys, right? That's my number one passion in life. But I also just love college football, and I watch a ton of college football, like a lot of you guys do. I probably watch 15 full games a week, because I DVR these things and I don't watch them all live, and that way I can fast forward through commercials, all that. I watch a lot of football. Let's just suffice it to say. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I watched all of Army's games last year. I did not. But I watched a number of their games. I watched them on Thursday night play Temple. I watched them play Tulane last year. And I kid you not, watching that Army team play the games I watched them play last year, this guy stood out to me. Now, I wasn't at the time thinking, hey, let's go get this guy. That wasn't on my mind. I had no idea that Damon Wilson Jr. was going to leave. Samuel Mpimba was going to leave. I didn't know what our depth situation was going to be. So my mind wasn't there. But I'm telling you, this guy can play. Let me give you some measurables here to give you some context. This guy's 6'3", 245 pounds with an 81 freaking inch wingspan. In high school, he had a 23-inch long jump. So to put that in perspective for you, if you go back and you look at the 7A state championships last year in track in the state of Georgia, that would have put him in the top 3 in long jump last year in the highest classification in the state of Georgia, okay? And that's a dude in a 6'3", 245-pound frame. He came into Army as a kind of a jumbo wide receiver. He wanted to play defense, which, by the way, you love that, right? You just love the guys that have that mentality. You just want to go out there and hit somebody. You love that. You feel like that's kind of like a bygone thing these days. But this dude was a receiver body, a bigger receiver body, but he wanted to play defense. And so he kind of harangued his coaching staff into having him play defense, give him a shot to play defense. And yeah, it worked out. So this guy had 6.5 sacks for Army last year. And in terms of what his style of play, what he brings to the table, the name of the game for Mosozi is athleticism. Again, came in as a jumbo, bigger wide receiver. But this dude can straight up move. He's explosive, as evidenced by the 23-inch long jump. He's incredibly long, 81-inch wingspan. That's crazy stuff, guys. That's important for pass rushers, because that allows you to get your hands on the lineman before they get their hands on you. You control them before they control you. That helps you win at the point of attack. That's huge. He's got the explosiveness. He's got the power as well. And he's also got versatility. You go back and you watch his tape, guys. He's a pass rusher ostensibly. That's not all he did with Army, all right? They would drop this guy back into coverage. They play him off the ball at times. And we do a lot of those kind of things with our linebackers. I'm not going to tell you who's Jalen Walker's. That's a Buckus Award winner. And it's not a perfect comp because Jalen's more sawed off, like 6'1", right? Mosozi's taller, he's longer, but the athleticism is similar. And guys, I don't think it's crazy. I love Jalen Walker. I told you guys coming to last year, check the tapes. I told you coming to last year that he was like my #1 breakout guy for Georgia. I called it like a crime against humanity that he only played 12 snaps against Alabama in the 2023 SEC Championship. That guy, I thought all along, was a stud. He had to play more. I love Jalen Walker. But as athletic as Jalen is, as explosive as he is rushing the passer, man, Mosozi, it's similar, man. If not, maybe even slightly more explosive, like slightly more athletic. He's more fluid. Let's say that. Like Jalen turning the corner, his bend is unbelievable. That explosiveness, that first step quickness, unbelievable stuff. But I don't know if he is as fluid of an athlete, like in space, as Mosozi is. Like this guy can move really well in space. Like one thing you saw, like Jalen was awesome, Buckus Award winner. But he struggled at times in coverage, right? Like he got better at that, better than he had been in previous years, but that was never a strength of his. Teams were able to exploit him in that area from time to time, right? I'm not saying Mosozi is going out there and cover like your best receiver, but the guy's, I think, more comfortable in space like that than even Jalen was. I don't think he's going to play off the ball linebacker for us. We're stacked at inside linebacker. All I'm saying is like situationally, when we get into our very exotic dime packages on third downs, where we move guys around, we have different packages, and you want versatile players on the field so you can do those different things with it, make it really hard for the offense to account for a player on any given snap, knowing where they're going to be and how you're going to use them. This guy brings that to the table. And you just think about how Glenn Schumann gets crazy creative on third downs. Think about how we used Chris Cole last year, okay? Yeah, we can use Mosozi in a very, very similar fashion. A guy that can rush the passer, a guy that can play off ball, a guy that can spy at times if you need him to on third downs, a guy that can drop in coverage and function effectively in that way. This dude is a straight up stud. I don't care that he played at Army last year, guys. It does, like, put that out of your mind. Who cares? Just watch the tape. That's all I'd ask you. Go watch the tape. And if you watch the tape, I'm telling you, you're going to be as excited as I am about this guy because he's a straight up stud. I think there's a strong chance that he'd come in right away and be our #1 guy at Jack linebacker right away. Now, I love Gabe Harris. He's not going to go down without a fight. But Gabe also missed some time this spring, which kind of set him, I don't want to say set him back from developmental standpoint. He's been in the program for 2 years. I love what we got in Q Johnson come as a redshirt freshman. Love him. He's going to be really good. But I'm just telling you, like, the total package here with Mosozi and the athleticism that he brings to the table, it's just a little bit different, man. It's a little bit different. So I know he's got to come in here. He's got to get up to speed, learn our system, and we do some different things in our system that takes some time. But in terms of a guy just coming in and rushing the passer, this guy can do it. So when you lose your top 2 pass rushers last year with Chaz Chambers and Jalen Walker tying it for the team lead with 6.5 sacks, you lose Mykel Williams, you lose Damon Wilson Jr., you lose all those guys, this guy is a big piece of the puzzle in replacing that production. So I am over the freaking moon about landing this guy. He was one of my biggest wants out of the portal once I saw his name enter. It's like, yes. Because again, I watched a guy play last year. And you're like, oh yeah, he plays for Army. This guy's really freaking good. This dude can play. So whether he'll start or not, that depends on how quickly he gets up to speed in our offense. But he's going to play. I don't know if it'll be a starting role, but he is going to have a big role in this team, like from the jump, at the very least on third downs. And he's only a sophomore, so technically he's got 2 years left to play at Georgia. There's a strong chance, if he is as good as I think he can be for Georgia this year, that this is like the final year. It's like a money year that he goes and jumps to the NFL. Strong chance. And I kind of hope that happens, guys. That means that he was a stud for us. All right, honestly, I'm kind of rooting for that. But technically, he has 2 years left to play at Georgia. So that's the first guy I got to mention here. Dude's a stud, and I am pumped, man, because he's awesome, and he fills a major, major need for Georgia in this 2025 spring transfer portal window, guys. Huge, huge, huge get for Georgia. Fills a major hole. Next guy I want to talk about here, Josh McCrae, running back from Illinois. Another guy that I watched a lot last year, and every time I watch the guy, I'm like, dude can play, man. Dude's good. The game that stands out the most to me was his most recent game. I'm sure some of you probably saw the Citrus Bowl last year against South Carolina. I remember that game vividly because I thought South Carolina would win that game. Had a little money on the Cox. It is what it is. Lost that. You can't win them all. But a big reason why I lost that bet was Josh McCrae. The dude ran all over the Gamecocks. He had 117 carries on the year for 609 yards total, rushed for 114 yards on 13 carries, 2 touchdowns against South Carolina in the Citrus Bowl, averaged 5.2 yards per carry for the season, averaged almost 9 yards a carry against a really good South Carolina team last year. I know it was a bowl game and there's some opt-outs and all that, sure, whatever. Had 10 touchdowns last year. Now, the unique thing about Josh McCrae is he's talk about a big back as a big back. He's 6'1". I was told he weighed in at 245 here in Athens this weekend when he visited, right? It was kind of a quiet visit. There wasn't much publicity out there. Like everyone knew Mosozi was coming to town, but McCrae was here in town over the weekend. I was told he weighed in at 245. That's a big boy. I don't think he'll play at 245, maybe. I think we'd probably ideally like to get him back down to like 230, 235. I think that'd probably be a good spot for him, but he's a bigger back, and he was Illinois' leading rusher last year. Now, they had some injuries at running back, and it was kind of like a running back by committee approach, but he was their leading rusher, really came on strong from the back half of last year, and I really like this guy, okay? Now, I do think Nate Frazier's still going to be, to open the season, going to be Georgia's number 1 running back, but this very well could end up being like a 1A, 1B situation. All right. Now let's go back to what I talked about last week on that video where I kind of identified Georgia's top needs in the portal. The reason I said running back is not because I don't like the running backs in our room. I do. I really like the running backs in our room. I love Nate Frazier. Bo Walker was awesome for a early enrollee true freshman in his first spring practice, his first 3 weeks of practice for Georgia. Over the past couple of weeks, right? Awesome. I thought Chauncey Bowen said some really good things. But we also know Branson Robinson has exited stage left, right? Wish him the best. He's gone. And Branson Robinson's coming back from injuries, cost him most of his career, honestly, here in Athens, dealing with injuries. So you don't know if you're going to get him back. And if you get him back, like I think he'll be cleared, but what version of him do we get? Like, we saw Branson get cleared last year, but he still wasn't the same that we saw him as a true freshman when he got some time in that 2022 season, which had us all excited, right? So there's some uncertainty there, right? There's some uncertainty. So I love Nate. I like Chauncey. I think Bo Walker's going to be really good for us. And Cash Jones obviously is a valuable piece for us, but he's a guy that we use like situationally, certainly on third downs as more of a receiver on the backfield. He's not really an every down, stand down kind of guy that's going to run between the tackles. We need depth, guys. That is a position. We see it every year that gets beat up. Go back 2 years ago to start the 2023 season, guys. It was a mash unit. We barely could field a position run, but we had to take Dylan Bell, make him a running back because we were so banged up. Guys, we were taking receivers and turning them into running backs out of necessity. And we dealt with a lot of injuries last year. Etienne missed time. We had Frazier missed time, right? Cash Jones was banged up. Branson and Rod both missed basically the entire year, right? We have had a rash of injuries at that position. It's a physical position. You take a pounding, you take a beating in the most physical conference in all of college football. You need guys, and not just bodies. You need guys that can play. So that's why I identified running back as a position of need for Georgia in this spring transfer portal window. Not because I don't like the guys we have. I like them. But you can't count on them being healthy for 14, 15, 16 games. You can't count on that. So go out and get somebody that can help you. And that's exactly what we did, guys. I'm telling you, this dude can straight up play. Yes, he's a bigger back, which means he doesn't have like elite home run speed. But don't let the size confuse you. The guy can move. For a guy that's 240, 245 pounds, he can move. He's not a breakaway home run type guy, but he can break you off 40, 50-yard runs. I saw that from him times last year. But like I talked about with Bo Walker throughout the course of spring when I was talking about him breaking his game down, Bo's not a burner either. But to me, there's far more important qualities, attributes in a running back that I'm looking for. I'm looking for footwork. I'm looking for that short area quickness. I'm looking for a little bit of twitch in your game. I'm looking for that make you miss ability in the hole. I'm looking for your vision, your ability to accelerate through the hole. I'm looking for contact balance, all those things. And he's got all that in spades, man. He checks all those boxes. His contact balance is ridiculous. Obviously, he's a big back, so you think he runs with power. But guys, not every big back runs with power. Not every big back can take a hit and keep running. This guy can. He's got really nimble feet. That's probably the thing I love most about McCrae. Big back, but awesome feet. Really, really good feet. Can actually like make you miss in the hole. He's got those kind of feet, but he's also got the contact balance that will allow him to run with power and pick up those tough yards. He keeps his feet, man. I love this guy. He's going to be a huge picker for Georgia. Again, I still expect Nate Frazier to be our top running back. I think he's got a little bit more explosiveness, like big playability in his game. But Josh McCrae is just a tough, physical dude with great feet that is going to help Georgia win football games this year. 100%. I truly believe this is going to be like a 1A, 1B situation with Frazier and McCrae at running back. And they complement each other really, really well on top of that. So I love this guy. I think that he is going to be a major piece of the puzzle for Georgia offense. We're already loaded. I talked about this in the G-Day recap. We're loaded at the skill positions right now. And this is just another weapon to add that, a different kind of weapon. Talk about like a goal line weapon. Man, add another one to that list. You already got Colby Young as a 50-50 guy. You got 6'6" Noah Thomas is a 50-50 guy. You got Elias Williams as a freshman. 6'7" can be a 50-50 guy. A weapon in the red zone. Now you got a 245-pound power back that can just plow it into the end zone. We haven't had a guy like that in a minute, guys. We thought Ryder Robinson was going to be that guy, but he just can't stay healthy, right? So huge, absolutely huge pickup to land Illinois' leading rusher from a year ago. And that was a 10-win Illinois team, guys. This wasn't Illinois of yesteryear playing a bunch of scrubs. This dude is legit. He can play. Georgia got better by landing Josh McCrae. And the third guy that we landed, hasn't been as productive as Mosozi and McCrae to this point in his career. It's a guy named Joshua Horton from Miami. Now, he is a redshirt freshman. He's played 60 snaps total through his first 2 years in college. That means he has 3 years left to play. I look at him a lot like I do Xavier McLeod coming in from South Carolina a year ago. So I know he's been in college for 2 years, where McLeod was only at South Carolina for 1 year. But his best football is still very much ahead of him. He's 6'4", about 290, 295. On the surface, he's more of a 3-tech guy, but I do think he can slide out situationally on standard downs and play some 5-tech for us. So I didn't identify like interior defensive linemen as one of our biggest needs. Now, I am of the mind that you can never have enough of those guys, because we were banged up the first 3 or 4 games of last year, where we had 3 guys playing like basically all the snaps for us. And that's a tough spot to put anybody in. So we've had some injuries there, so you want to just have bodies and guys that can play for you. But I did think that 5-tech was more of a need, just based on just not having enough true 5-tech bodies, having no experience there, right? So I thought we needed some help there. And he doesn't really fill the experience void. He hasn't played a ton on the field, but I do think situationally he's a guy that has enough athleticism to slide out and play some 5-tech for us on some of their standard downs, certainly against teams that are more run heavy. But hey, if you can add a guy that has some upside at that position, I do think he has some athleticism, and he's got 3 years in your system. This is a guy that I do think will develop. I think Trey Scott's can get the best out of him. I don't think I expect a ton from him this year. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I think we're loaded right now on the interior. I love Christian Miller, obviously, if he gets back healthy, which I have no doubt that he will be. I think Xavier McLeod is a guy that's going to be really good for Georgia this year and beyond. And Jordan Hall, this is a money year for Jordan Hall. And you got Nnamdi Ogboko, those kind of guys, they're stepping up as well. So I think we're fine on the interior, but this is just another body to add some more depth there. And a guy can also slide out and play some 5-tech for us, which I do think is maybe more of a position of need. So 3 big additions to the Georgia roster tonight. I was not anticipating jumping on here and doing this video tonight, guys. I was actually trying to watch some WrestleMania, man. I don't really watch wrestling anymore, but hey, every year WrestleMania comes around, got to jump on that. It's just a fun spectacle. But had to press pause on that and come over here and do this video for you guys, kind of an emergency episode for you. One last thing before we get out of here. I don't think Georgia's done yet. Now, this is a great haul. And if we stopped here, I'm probably a happy man, right? But there's another name out there that I do want to mention, and that's Bo Atkinson, a pass rusher from UNC, an edge player from UNC. So really, over the course of the past week, there's 2 guys. The reason I didn't talk about the name, in particular names on the video I did last week, the episode I did last week, trying to identify areas of need for Georgia in the transfer portal, was because I wanted to let it play out. I wanted to see who Georgia was actually targeting. I didn't want to just throw names out there of like, hey, this guy, I like this guy, I like that guy, but without knowing who Georgia's actually targeting. So I want to kind of let that kind of play out a little bit, and it seems like it has. It was Mosozi and Atkinson were the top 2. Atkinson was also on campus this weekend. He's also going to go visit Ohio State. I think he's going to visit South Carolina as well. So he's still out there. That's a guy that I would still love to add. Now, us adding Mosozi, does that hurt our chance to add Atkinson? Yeah, probably. But I know that we still want him. I know that we'd take him. So we're still thin at that position, guys. Like, yes, you have Gabe Harris. Sure, you have Quintavious Johnson. Great, awesome. But very little experience at that position. So if you can add Mosozi, Atkinson, that's 2 guys with experience there, that's huge. And I also think if we can add multiple guys at that position, guys, we played multiple guys at that position. We've seen it the past couple years. So we play guys situationally there. If we can add Atkinson and Mosozi, does that also help our depth issues at the 5-tech? Because maybe we can have Gabe Harris play more 5-tech, which is really where he's played more than anything over the course of his first years here in Athens. So does that allow us to move him back to 5-tech, which maybe is where we want to have him to kind of help with some of the depth issues there, potentially, right? So I would still love to add Atkinson. He's 6'6", 265, had 7.5 sacks from North Carolina last year. But Atkinson's also a guy that with his size at 6'6", 265, he's kind of got a body where he could play some 5-tech for us. I don't know if he'd want to, because that's not a premier pass rushing position in the Georgia defense. That's more the jack linebacker position. So I'm sure that's where he wants to play, because that's where he'll rack up the numbers, and that's what helps you get drafted in the NFL. Although you could also say that we had a guy that played 5-tech go number 1 in the draft a couple years ago. Like, that did happen. Mykel Williams can go first round playing primarily 5-tech. So you can point that and say, hey, we have proof of concept. We're putting guys in the first round of the NFL draft at this position, even if they're not racking up all those sacks. There's that. But I imagine he probably wants to play jack. I think we could sell him on playing like the Mykel Williams role. Like, you'll play 5 situationally, maybe on standard downs, you move over, maybe you rush the passer some, a jack linebacker on third downs, and then with Mosozi's athleticism, his versatility, you can use him in different ways. A lot like we use Jalen Walker. Because last year on third downs, we'd have Jalen Walker, you have Mykel Williams on the field at the same time. Maybe you take Atkinson on third downs, you move him inside, and you get a matchup on a guard. You give him a favorable matchup there, he's going to win a lot of those matchups. So I think there's a lot of ways that we could use both him and Mosozi on the field at the same time. So just because we landed Mosozi, I don't think it precludes us from landing Atkinson as well. Does it make that a harder sell? Probably, yes, but I don't think it's an impossible sell, because if you look at how we've used multiple pass rushers on the field during the past couple years, we have proof of concept of that. Like, we can sell that. You can say, look, like, we use this guy, Jalen Walker, in this way, first round draft pick. We use Mykel Williams, a guy that kind of fits your physical profile, right? We use him in a variety of different ways. We moved him inside on third down sometimes over guards. We had him rushing from the jack linebacker position at times. We had him playing 5-tech at times. And that versatility, that just made him even more valuable at the NFL level, and he's going to go in the first round. So I do think there's still a strong sell to be made there, but he might just be a guy that wants to play outside linebacker where he's rushing the passer every single snap. Maybe that's the case. And if that is the case, then I don't know if we're the landing spot, but I think we have a shot. I still think we have a shot there, but it's going to be tough there, because he's still going to go to Ohio State. I think South Carolina as well. There might be another team that jumps in there. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes on that one. I would love to add him as well. But hey, man, even if we don't add Atkinson, adding Mosozi, like, that's the guy. That is the one, okay? Atkinson, awesome. Love him. Would love to have him, man. But Mosozi's just different. The athleticism, the versatility he brings to the table, that guy is going to be a freaking stud for Georgia this year. Mark my words on that, all right? We'll come back and revisit that at the end of this year, and I'm going to feel pretty good about how that turns out. But there you go, guys. Want to jump on here really quickly, kind of an unplanned show, but want to make sure to cover this breaking news for you guys as quickly as I could. So thank you guys for being here. As always, appreciate each and every one of you. Subscribe, like, comment, all that great stuff. Appreciate you. Check out the Glory UJ podcast for full episodes of our show. But for now, I'm Tyler, and as always, go Dogs!
Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dogs on top.